Resources of our psyche are quite important, but even more significant are ways to manage it, how to control, invest, spend, and obtain them. A man is a very rational being, and its behavior is ultimately logical. The science of economics disagrees, as it studies only material benefits and their circulation. From the point of view of real assets, people's actions might seem absolutely illogical. However, in the case of our personal economy, we operate every kind of resources at the same time. And from this point of view, a person analyzes possible profits and losses. He is always rational and logical to the full extent. Admittedly, one can point out the fact that most people behave in a quite unintelligent way. Of course, there is something to be said in this regard. This mechanism of personal economy is a really complicated thing. Firstly, people are unable to factor in degrees of influence and value of some resources. Secondly, they tend to overthink and perceive black as white and vice versa. Thirdly, people often put themselves under such circumstances where hideous and ridiculous decisions appear quite logical and reasonable. Nevertheless, a man subconsciously always takes into account profits and losses, considering all resources he possesses. For instance, let's take a look at going to the cinema. In order to do it, along the way, you will have to spend your time, your money, your physical strength. You even will have to spend a bit of your will to lift your ass from a sofa. What will you get in return? Let's say a movie was good and it gave you total immersion, a new reality where you were able to rest from your everyday routine. It arose particular feelings and emotions and kept you involved from the very beginning until the end. If that was the case, after leaving the hall, you understand that the deal was profitable. A pleasant aftertaste in the line with positive feelings are reliable proofs in favor of the movie. If, however, after finishing you say to yourself, what on earth was that and why the hell did I just watch it? It means the deal was detrimental. Even though that's not much, but still there was a loss. You gave out more than you got in return. On the basis of what has been stated above, the main principle of our personal economy can be defined. We have to be focused on eliminating loss making deals and strive towards positive ones. In everyday life, it is subject to our tasks, communication, and many other things. In the long run, we act likewise. We invest our resources in the personal future that will provide us with particular results. Therefore, all our long term investments should be thought through. We have to have a clear understanding why we're contributing to something and what kind of result is expected. Any possible elusiveness has to be eliminated on every level. Let's say a guy goes to a gym to bulk up. And to what purpose? By putting in his energy, time, money, he hopes to become more popular among girls and estimable among other guys. To what extent is it feasible and valid? Even after getting all buff, he's going to be neither a stud nor a more confident and fearless man. Except for big muscles, he's bound to stay the same person. So, every aspect of your everyday life should be put through analysis in order to understand what we obtain and what we lose. If the exchange is not in our favor, it means our present activity strips us of our resources. It weighs upon us and trammels us from developing. As in order to go higher, you need assets accumulated in your stock. Well, what is to be done here? Just to give out less. If communication is the case, you should be not so involved emotionally and make it more formal. Speaking of tasks, it's likewise. Just do it mechanically without going too deep. You have to give out less and bring your resources exchange to the balanced level. It might seem, though, that a person with such an approach is an overly egoistic being that thinks only about himself. It's true and false at the same time. On one hand, we have to consider only our own profits and losses, as nobody else would do it. On the other hand, the peculiarity of communication lies in the fact that profits there can be only mutual. Any kind of interaction where profits are obtained only by one person is loss making for both sides. Despite receiving benefits, the winning party is as well unhappy and suffers losses. Subconsciously, he's bound to feel having taken too much, and as a consequence, any decent person will try to get rid of this burden in some way. It can be anything from charity to becoming a victim of scammers. There is a type of people, though, who would prove to themselves that this is the norm. Doing so will make such a person a parasite or a vampire, and such creatures cannot be happy. Unfortunately, this principle of mutual profits is not widespread, and many wealthy people who possess large amounts of money are forced to shrug it off by donating to the church or for charitable causes. Because these money burn a hole in their pockets. Subconsciously, they feel that there is no proper authorization in obtaining this money. And this is where we are closing in on such a thing like conscience. Usually, conscience is construed as the social code of laws, a so called repository of social dogmas and standards. But also, it plays the role of our personal accountant that constantly appraises our deals with a view to profits and losses. If something was profitable in terms of resources, we receive pleasant emotions, the feeling of moral satisfaction in the first instance. On the contrary, if a deal was loss making, we experience negative emotions: spite, anger, annoyance. In case of long run undertakings, it works the same way. If we contribute to something strategically correct, there is a joy at every step of this path. We constantly take pleasure along the way. If, however, we do something not out of our personal wishes, but because it's right and correct, we are bound to get only depression, deep, concentrated wretchedness from following the wrong path. Thus, in this regard, you can't fool your conscience, as it's a very fastidious supervisor in every sense. A genuinely strong person is calm, confident, and polite and kind. Such negative emotions like anger, spite, annoyance are the signs of a weak man. These are evidences of losing resources. You squandered them somehow, and now you are in despair, automatically taking it out on others. Here, someone might take objection and say that such an approach doesn't imply being wealthy at all. But the nature of genuine wealth is not that simple. Accidental strokes of financial luck are often taken as wealth, but they come and go. Such things rarely last long. Unauthorized money will eventually disappear. A real fortune shows up only when more and more resources flows converge around a person. Let's say his business develops, there are more people involved, money circulation becomes more and more intense, whereby capitalization of a founder grows as well. Naturally, as more money flow through this person, more money stick to fingers, and this is deservedly. This principle works for freelancers as well. Then again, the aforementioned information is not easily applicable in life. We have to look at the world not through the prism of our conclusions, but oriented by our feelings and emotions that we experience along the way. Doing so, you might be able to discover some not very pleasant things. For example, you might it might then again, the aforementioned information is not easily applicable in life. We have to look at the world not through the prism of our conclusions, but oriented by our feelings and emotions that we experience along the way. Doing so, you might be able to discover some not very pleasant things. For example, it might turn out that for your family, you are nothing but a piece of furniture. And aside from negative, there are no other feelings for them. Or at work, you waste life energy pointlessly without any effective output because you force yourself to go there. In a nutshell, many various revelations await you.